Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest hails from the Rocky Mountain foothills of Alberta. Her music has been played across Canada, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, the UK, and the USA. Her music transcends genres. From rock to country, she captivates her audiences with her authentic voice and heartfelt lyrics. So, let's spill the tea with Sharon Marie White. Welcome, Sharon.
Thanks so much for having me, David.
Well, it's always great to have a guest on from the prairies, from the West. I've learned so much doing this show. I've learned so much about all of the wonderful talent that we have. And thanks for joining us from the foothills. It's great to have you here.
Yeah. I'm originally from Manitoba, but we've been here for over 20 years, so this is home now.
Well, going from let's talk about going from Manitoba over to the foothills of the Rockies. Um, Musically, what's the differences, if there are any differences? What are the differences musically going from Manitoba to Alberta?
I don't think there is really any differences with the music scene. Uh, that the only difference for me was that I moved to a bigger town, so you really have to put yourself out there more. Is where I was quite spoiled in Manitoba, living in a little town, and of course I started my music career very young, so there's always just another band to jump into, right? And having, a band to, camaraderie and all that stuff. And so when you're by yourself, all of a sudden it's a lot tougher to put yourself out there. But that's nothing to do really with the music scene. It's just a personal thing for me.
Now you live in Cochrane, which is
Yeah.
just west of Calgary. I have to orient myself every time I do that.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, is do you perform in Cochrane or do you make the trek into Calgary to perform?
Well, the thing is, my husband and I work in the oil industry, so we're on the road a lot. In fact, all summer we take our RV to Saskatchewan, and that's kind of where we work. So I'm never here during the summer to book gigs and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just really focusing on the songwriting and releasing of music right now. And perhaps maybe in retirement, then I can go back to doing more live shows and stuff like that. But for now, I'm just having a lot of fun releasing music.
Let's talk about your influences in music. Your grandmother played piano. Where were the other influences from, or did it just come from Grandma? She was the one that inspired you.
Well, she was very important because every summer holiday we would get to go to Grandma and Grandpa's, and she would play the piano and I'd learn all the songs. And it was a lot of hymns, back then. So she would do hymns or, the really old standard songs. So I mean, I've my knowledge of music is from Bing Crosby to Patsy Cline to Dolly Parton to Judy Garland. I mean, I loved and listened to it all. And all my aunts were very musical. And my mom and dad just loved music. So it's definitely in the family. And then just, yeah, it's hard to explain to people that, they like everybody, I think, likes music, but there's some of us that I just say it's in our bones. I
Mhm.
don't know how else to explain it. It's just from the time, I was little, I just loved music. It did something to me.
Now you have a story to tell about opening for one of Canada's iconic bands. When I think of Streetheart, I go back to their songs from when they were performing, and they had amazing songs. How did you get a gig opening for Streetheart?
Well, I was in a rock band back then in Brandon, Manitoba, and they were coming to play at the college there, ACC it's called. And, I don't even know how we actually got the gig, but the one guitar player was always getting us gigs in the band. And so somehow we got our name in there. And that was definitely a highlight for me. And I was the only girl in the band. So, yeah, it was just, but I would say that is the highlight for me because I was like the most famous anybody we opened for. So,
Now, is it safe to say that when you opened for Street Heart, that was might have been one of the bigger crowds that you had performed in up to that point?
probably that one. And then we used to play, or maybe we only played once. It was called the Boys of Vane Turtle Derby.
Okay.
But it's sort of like a rodeo and derby and it was quite big. So there was thousands of people at that. And then when I switched and I was in the country band, we played at no, I don't know. Politically, I can't remember which party it was, but at a big conference and in the where they play hockey at the arena in Brandon. That was, I think, probably 10 or 12,000 people. So that was probably the biggest. And it was televised a little bit of it. And we were on different, CKX Presents or whatever. So we had a little bit of, stuff like that going on. So it was kind of, yeah, it was just great memories to have, right?
When we think about that you being in a rock band and we think about Street Heart, I mean, of course, they're big songs Under My Thumb and Here Comes the Night were
Yeah.
probably two of their biggest hits that they had. Very,
Yeah.
very much rock bands. And here you are, you're playing in the West, which is many people, I got the education, many people think is very country. So, how does a rock band get accepted into a very, very country part of of Canada?
Well, I don't know. I've been country for a long time now, but I think there is a really good music scene in Calgary. And I mean, I think there's rap, there's rock, and there's everything here in Calgary. So it's a kind of a melting pot, I would say. And probably too because a lot of us have moved, right? So
Mhm.
whatever your music affiliation was, wherever you were, I mean, you bring that with you, right? So
The song we're going to hear today is very much a from the country genre. I
yeah,
I kind of put it, country poppy
yeah.
kind of song. You coming from a rock band, were you always country and just happened to be in a rock band earlier, or did you make a conscious transition from rock to country?
That's a great question. Because I grew up with listening to country music. So it was not foreign to me. I mean, I grew up with all the, Patsy Cline, like I said, and Loretta Lynn, Willie Nelson, all that stuff my mom and dad listened to. But when I was in high school, I loved the rock and roll too. I mean, Hearts and Journey and all that stuff. Um, so that's kind of how it progressed. And then one of the guys in the band in the 90s, said, maybe we should switch to country. So, and it wasn't hard for me. Because I loved country music and it was easier in a way because there were so many more female country singers than there was rock and roll singers, females. So, I had way more, of a repertoire that I could sing. And it wasn't this big hardship. I mean, and I love music, so it felt right. And that's also when I started writing my own songs. So yeah, I felt like home for sure.
You mentioned that that you work in the oil industry, as many people do,
Yeah.
from the western provinces. But you've got this lifelong pull towards music. Is it a tug of war for you on a regular basis, where you're working in a great industry, but you've got this passion to perform music? Is there ever that tug of war between, oh, I really want to do this full time, but I need to stay over here. Maybe I'll do it one day, but I really enjoy what I do on a day-to-day basis, but I really want to play music. Is there that tug of war going on inside of you?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I feel like you've been following me. And to add to that tug of war, David, is I'm also a visual artist. So I create paintings and all that kind of stuff. So I really have a pull because there's some days I'm drawn to my art studio. And then there's other days where my guitar is calling me like, you haven't picked me up for a few days. So, but at least nowadays, I mean, I have a YouTube channel. I could go on there. I can do little lives on TikTok. There's lots of avenues now to do that. And if you don't get to go play live, but playing live is still, yeah, it's as nervous as I get doing it. It is still, like you said, it's a passion. Just to see, the looks on people's faces if you're singing a song and they're tapping their feet or they're singing along. Yeah, there's only one way you can get that, and that is to perform live and get that instant feedback from people, right? So, but right now, yeah, it's just a little harder for me to do.
Some people might say that instant feedback can be a little nerve-wracking. If it
Yeah, yeah,
depend like you
exactly.
you play a song and nobody makes a sound, like nobody puts their hands together, nobody's tapping their feet, they're kind of talking to each other. Is it, why am I here again? Oh, maybe it's just I had one artist say, well, when that happens, we just treat it like a practice session.
Oh, absolutely. The guitar player in our band always said that. I remember years ago, this was in the rock band, and we played at a roller derby, and nobody showed up. And it was like, okay, and Ken in the band goes, "Well, come on, guys, this is just a good practice." So,
Now
all the
you
things. There's many things to learn when you're playing on the. I'd say on the road, but we basically played every weekend. But yeah, there's been some. We were booked. I remember one time as a country band. This is when we were still rock and roll at for a dance. I don't even remember where it was, but oh my, the crowd was not happy. As you can imagine, they paid tickets to see a country band, and th're getting rock and roll. So guitar player and me are like, he says, "You know country music, right? You like, Linda Ronstadt or something." I said, "Sure,
bail
sure."
us out,
So,
bail us out.
yeah, so we were pulling out like old Linda Ronstadt tunes and just anything to try to, because you want to please the audience, but it was our booking agent that had messed up. But oh, there's many, many stories. Some I probably can't repeat.
That's the paradox for many artists where they, in order to get, say, airplay or in order to get concert work or festival work, they're looking for some kind of pigeonhole to put you in. And many artists say, I want to do a lot of different stuff. Like as you said, I like rock. I want to do country. I want to dabble in blues. I think it'd be fun to do jazz. And then there's your followers, your fans, your audience that are so is what's Sharon this week? Is she country this week or is she rock or what? And artists have said my fans get confused about what I'm doing as well. So what's your take on all of that? Is it do you venture into other areas on your own time and stay in a particular lane for your fans to follow you?
Um, well, that's why when I release this blues, it's a sultry blues song. I'm going to be really watching to see what happens. I had, I showed it to a couple other musicians and I said, well, I'm a little nervous because they know me for country. But this still has a country feel to it. But he said to me, but Sharon, you may also be opening yourself up to new fans
Mm.
when you're releasing this kind of bluesy song. And I went, oh yeah, didn't think of it that way. I was thinking of kind of the negative way, but you could also gain new fans, I think, by branching out into other styles of music as well. And getting back to the rock thing, I think when I write, I still have a kind of that rock and roll feel too. I like it to you can dance to it or whatever. So I think that is still in me when I write, even though I had a hard time actually writing a true like heavy rock song. I couldn't seem to do that. But I'd like to interject a little bit of rock into the country.
Sharon, we're going to get into one of your songs that you wrote. This song was released in January of 2025. Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Sharon Marie White and her song, Lucky in Love.
One more dead end Sunday. Think I'll leave the blinds down. Tired of all these useless weekends, living in this ghost town. Having a Hershey kiss and another glass of wine. One helps numb the hurt, one helps pass the time. Am I asking for too much? I wanna be lucky in love, lucky in love. Find a true romance, lucky in love. Roll the dice, take a chance. I need a midnight gambler to call my bluff. I wanna be lucky in love. Oh, I want someone who can drive me crazy with just a look across the room. Don't know when and I don't know where, but I hope Lady Luck shows up soon. Ate the last Hershey kiss, drank another bottle of wine. Who knew looking for love could drive you out of your mind? Am I asking for too much? I wanna be lucky in love, lucky in love. Find a true romance, lucky in love. Roll the dice, take a chance. I need a midnight gambler to call my bluff. I wanna be lucky in love. Lucky in love. Find a true romance, lucky in love. Roll the dice, take a chance. I need a midnight gambler to call my bluff. I wanna be lucky in love, lucky in love.
That was Lucky in Love by Sharon Marie White. Sharon, tell us, what is that song? What's that song about, and what was the inspiration to write it?
Well, it's a song just about a gal who's, sitting at home and she's wondering like when is it going to be her time that she finds love, finds that special person. And the irony is, the lyrics are like she's putting the blinds down and just drinking the wine and eating chocolate and, it's like, well, you're not going to meet anybody doing that, but it's kind of a fun song. And I think the thing about writing songs is they don't all have to be deep and have this huge message. They can be just more as entertainment, right? And one song comes to my mind when I think "Achy Breaky Heart." I think that was just entertainment because it really wasn't that deep of a song.
Sheer entertainment. Sheer, if it were deep, if it were a deep puddle, you wouldn't even get the soles of your shoes wet. That's for sure.
Exactly. So I think sometimes it's just, and sometimes melodies will just come to me, or the chorus, that lick will come. So that's kind of what that song's about.
Sharon, how do people find out more about you? What's the website? What are the socials?
So I have a website, SharonMarieWhite.com. All my music's on there. There's some fun pictures on there. And I'm on all the socials. Facebook, I have a Sharon Marie White music page, or my personal page. You're welcome to contact me on there as well. Instagram, and all my music's on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. Yeah, it's everywhere because I release through CD Baby, so they put it out to everybody. And yeah, and I just want to thank all the DJs and everybody that's been spinning the tune. It's and you never know until you release a song how it's going to be received, and this one's been received really, really well. So I'm pretty proud of that.
We have been in conversation with Sharon Marie White. Sharon, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me, David.